Right, welcome to Coffee with Resonate, and today we have Jo Kelly from Good2Give joining us. Good morning, Jo. How are you?
Good morning, Sharon. I'm great, thank you.
Fantastic. First off, can you tell us a little bit about Good2Give and what you do?
So Good2Give is both a fintech and a not-for-profit that facilitates charitable giving between corporates, donors and charities through a range of programs, workplace giving programs, trusts and foundations, volunteering, to get as much money out to the charitable sector as possible. So over the last 10 or so years, we've delivered 275 million to charities, and we're aiming to get 300 million out by the end of this year.
Awesome. And it's quite unusual, I think, for people to hear about a not-for-profit engaging and having a voice of the customer program. So can you give us a little bit of a background as to why you decided to invest in voice of the customer?
Well, even though we are a not-for-profit, we're still a business, and it's really important. We've got a growth focus, and so it's really important for us that we keep our existing clients happy. And I fundamentally believe that it's really important to have a mechanism where clients can provide feedback that we can look at and say, are there any systemic issues here we need to fix? And front foot that before it becomes a problem and before a client maybe chooses to leave, which is far from ideal. So we just really wanted to have a framework or a mechanism where we could engage with our customers and get that feedback in a timely way.
And what does that mean? What do you measure and why do you measure that?
So we measure two dimensions. The first one is NPS, Net Promoter Score, yep. And that's a very important metric for us. And we do that quarterly across all of our clients. And then the next measure we look at is post-customer service interaction, so essentially customer sat, CSAT, and we get feedback after every single client interaction we have with a customer.
We've been having a lot of conversations recently with clients around the importance of customer experience and businesses, thinking about putting customer experience front and center of their strategy. How are you finding internal teams outside customer experience are responding to this?
We're a small business, so we don't have I look after customer experience, but I don't have a team. The team is the business. Mm-hmm. And this has become really important. So in the last year, we've done probably close to 100 customer journey maps to really look at how we streamline what we're doing in the business. And we've very much got a sense of buy-in with the customer support team in particular. They're dealing with the CSAT results, and they take pride in getting a really good number back, and also across NPS. So we pounce on anything that doesn't look good, and we engage with a customer within 24 hours to talk through any feedback they may have provided. So there's definite buy-in from the business, which was probably a little bit of a surprise because a lot of our team have never used NPS before or been in a business where they've measured customer satisfaction. And it's been great to see people embracing that and getting on board and taking pride in getting a really positive result.
Yeah, I think those things are really exciting when you can see a change in the culture shift and how people perceive it as well. What are the benefits that you're also seeing from running the program? Because you've been doing it for what, nearly a year now?
We have been doing it for a year, and I think the key benefits are really, I think, seeing those verbatim pieces of feedback that customers are providing are the gems that help us change things for the better. And, I think one of the surprises or the benefits for the team is that, we might have a client that we've had a really good relationship with rate us an 8. And so initially the team goes, oh, that's amazing. And I'll go, no, it's not amazing. That's neutral, that's passive. And they may as well rate us a 5. So, because what they're saying is, we like the service that we get, but not enough to recommend you. So it's not an advocacy rating at all. Yeah. And so that really concerns me. When I see an 8, I'm thinking, well, yeah, it could have been a 3 to a 6 as far as I'm concerned. So we sort of pounce on that. So I think the surprising thing is people go, oh, we've got a great relationship with X or Y, but then, oh, hello, they've rated us an 8. And then you start to unpack those verbatim comments and go, okay, they're frustrated by a certain thing that we're not providing for them. So we need to fix that. And so it's eye-opening. I guess, is the thing that they're not necessarily saying those in normal client meetings, but they're happy to put it down when they're asked for an NPS rating.
Yeah, and I think it's also, you know, taking it beyond the number, because the number really doesn't give you that full vision of what a client is thinking. It's really the verbatims and giving the context around it that's really important.
Totally.
What surprised you, if anything, from the feedback that you're seeing in terms of, you know, some of those verbatims?
Probably just what I talked about, which is we might feel that the relationship aspects are really good, but then it might be something that surfaces that's like, okay, we now quickly need to fix this because it might have come up 6 months earlier and we may have been working on it in the background, but it may not be quick enough for a client. And so reminds everyone that communication is key and that you can't just assume they know what's happening in the background. You've got to communicate with them regularly to let them know what's going on, and that you can't ring a client without some kind of solution in mind. Like, there's no point in ringing a client and saying, why did you give us this? And that comment wasn't that helpful. That's pointless. It's actually saying, we understand your frustration and we are working on that. Clearly, we need to communicate more effectively that we are working on it so you know what's going on. So I think it's just that, you know, hey guys, and people get a bit offended and say, but we are fixing that. And it's like, did you tell the client you were fixing that? Did you give them a deadline? Did you say that that's what was happening? And if you haven't, you need to. So it's really important that we kind of have those regular reminders. I think the other thing that for me going into year 2, and it's just something I've been reflecting on, is getting a consistent, agreeing what the consistent level of service. So we might have some customer support people who are exceptionally good at this and deliver exceptional service, and other people at the other end are delivering an okay level of service, but we've got to agree what it is, and it has to be consistent. So it can't be that person A who's delivering the exceptional level of service and the rest of the team are not. We've either got to bring them to that standard, or we've got to bring that person back a bit, but we've got to agree what the consistent level of service is.
Yeah. And are you finding that that's helping in terms of getting more visibility on what the client's thinking to bring that consistency in?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's really important. Something I need to be better at is to sit with those teams, that team more regularly, to kind of sit down and go, let's unpack this and let's really try and understand what that means so that you get a sense of it. And let's talk about consistency in service.
So taking a look then at the future, and, you know, as we're going into the new year, from your point of view, what does success look like for this year? And, you know, where are you going to go from here with your Voice of the Customer program?
So I think it's really easy after a year or so to get a little bit complacent. And, you know, I've come back after the break and our numbers have dipped, which concerns me. And so but in a way, it's a good thing, because it's kind of, I've had to mobilize our team, work with Resonate to kind of say, this is concerning. What do we do? Now, we can all argue and say it's where we are in the cycle, and maybe there's some residual things that, you know, have been left to fix, but that's not good enough. And so it's really stepping on those things and making sure that the team know that you can't get complacent. So it's about removing complacency, stepping up the service, unpacking the verbatims, and developing a consistent level of service. So for me, those are the things I really want to focus on.
Fantastic. Well, I think it's going to be another great year of partnership, Jo. I'm really looking forward to us spending more time together and seeing where we go from here, and hopefully connecting again via this chat so that we can share a few more best practices. Thanks for sharing today, Jo.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thanks.